Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Do it. 1, 2, 3, go. Hey, I'm Ryan Arrowood, and we're here at Yates Street Tap House live on location, and I'm having a beer with
Victor.
So, Victor, why don't you tell me a little bit about you and soccer? What can you tell me?
Yeah, okay. So I'm from Sweden, from Stockholm originally, and then I found out about Canadian Premier League, I think, in December 2017. And I thought this is really interesting because it's so different from Sweden, where our teams have been around for like 120 years or something. And I thought this is something I really have to experience. This Canadian, like developing something from scratch from the beginning when it comes to soccer, you know. And then I decided to move here for a while. So
that's pretty bold. You moved to another country to experience our amazing game of soccer. So I know you talked to me a little bit about the soccer in Sweden, and you guys definitely have a very in-place promotion regulation system.
Yes.
I totally butchered that word. Either way, hey, what can you tell me about promotion regulation in Sweden?
So it's basically it's the team. We have like a lot of divisions, but it's one Premier Division, of course, and then it's one second division. So the team that ends number 3 from the bottom in the Premier Division, they will play the team that ends number 3, like in the top, in the second division. By the end of every season, it will be like a double, like a playoff between them. And it's always in the Swedish fall when it's rain or sometimes snow and just
Oh, that brings up another one. Why don't you give me a little bit? What was your favorite road trip for Sweden soccer?
favorite road.
Away game.
Okay, the thing is that I usually go to the away games because I support a team that are from like a 3-hour drive from Stockholm. It's from Degerfors, where my father was born. So we go to the games that they play in Stockholm, which makes my home games are the actual away games, you know.
They're all away games.
Yeah.
So you're from Sweden originally, right?
Yes.
So that's pretty much where you got into watching soccer and.
Oh yeah, and I remember I got really interested back in 2002 when it was the World Cup. I was 10 years old back then, and Sweden were playing in the same group as Argentina and England and Nigeria, which was called the Group of Death.
I'm from the United States. I'm very well aware of this Group of Death thing. We kind of got slaughtered into it a few times. I know what you're talking about.
So that's when I started to really get into soccer. And I realized that Mikael Silberbauer, the head coach of Pacific FC, he played in FC Copenhagen in Denmark with some of the Swedish players that were in that Swedish national team back in 2002. So
I'm starting to see where there's a connection between you and this little soccer team we know as Pacific FC.
Oh yeah. But the thing is that when I wanted to move to Canada and experience this CPL thing, eventually it ended up with me is deciding. I looked at all the cities that would have a team in the league, and then I picked the city that I was most interested in living in, and then it ended up being Victoria, and that's how I got into it.
So how long are you thinking you're going to be around? You're definitely going to make opening day, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, but that's basically it, because then I had to go back to Sweden I go back April 28th.
So you heard it here, folks. We have our first remote supporter. That's a pretty good name for it. Our first supporter, international supporter. Wait, we're technically international. Shit. All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for having a beer with me and for a little bit of talking. There you go. That was beautiful. Perfect. It can't be.